Do you remember when the word victim had some actual meaning? Flood victim, victim of a burglary. Occasionally, I'm a fashion victim. Hopefully, I've got away with it tonight. But now victimhood is worn like a badge of honour. It is something that people strive for. Enter stage left, the queen of self-pity, Meghan Markle, who this week announced to a group of very young children that she is, and I quote, one of the most bullied people in the world. This is the same woman who was subjected to a lengthy Buckingham Palace investigation into bullying allegations against her, the results of which were kept private. Although if she were exonerated, would her PR team not be shouting that from the rooftops? Of course, we will never know whether Markle bullied staff at the palace. But what we do know is the vast number of employees that she's got through on her watch, the number of people that have worked for her and then left. Meghan Markle gets through more staff members than James Corden gets through Mars bars, with The Hollywood Reporter magazine claiming that Meghan is like, and I quote, a dictator in high heels who reduces grown men to tears. Meanwhile, the Daily Beast website report a former courtier as saying there definitely were bad, very bad, even psycho moments. Eyewitness people being chewed up in person and over the phone and made to feel like SHIT. However, 5 current and former employees shot back and told US Weekly she's the best boss ever. She gives staff bundles of freshly cut flowers, home-produced eggs, and makes her team feel like seeds being watered. Blimey, I'd rather be shouted at, frankly, than treated like a potted plant. But the former employee who spoke to the Daily Beast dismissed the US Weekly article as a cynical exercise, saying, look, she's lovely when it's all going her way, but a demon when the worm turns. She barks out orders and sends angry emails at 5 a.m. Now, this is all hearsay, their word against hers. Markle would strenuously deny the allegations. But we do know that an astonishing 18 members of staff have quit working for her since 2018. Now, I'll grant you that Meghan Markle has had some pretty negative press, and I'm very concerned about her claims this week that much of the vitriol happened while she was expecting her 2 children. That is awful. But this is a woman who chose a very public role, firstly as a Hollywood actress, and then as the daughter-in-law of the future King of England. Hardly choices made by a shrinking violet or someone who wants to stay out of the papers. And are these claims of bullying a way to censor critics like yours truly? Are princes and millionaire actresses the latest protected class? Are we not to call out Meghan Markle for her abject lies in the Oprah Winfrey TV interview, when, for example, she claimed to have been married the day before the wedding, something dismissed as nonsense by the Archbishop of Canterbury? Or what about the unfounded slur of racism against an unnamed member of the royal family? Or what about the mocking of our late, great Queen Elizabeth in that awful Netflix interview with the fake curtsy? Look how mortified Harry is there, ashamed to be sat next to a woman mocking a truly Great Britain. And Markle this week plays the victim in front of an audience of little girls at an event which was supposed to be about them and their future, but which, true to form, she made about herself. This is the same Meghan Markle who told a reporter a few years ago, no one ever asks how I'm feeling. Well, let me tell you about you, Meghan. You are one of the most famous people in the world. You're married to a prince. You are a multimillionaire. You have 2 beautiful children, an idyllic life in Hollywood, California, and a sprawling mansion in Montecito, which we're told boasts 16 bathrooms. Perhaps Meghan would argue that one of the reasons that she's been bullied is because of her royal connections. Maybe that is the albatross around her neck. She may be right, but it's a mystery, therefore, why she would hang on to her royal titles if the royal connection is so negative to her. Although I can think of a few million reasons why she's hung on to them. But after all these revelations, one title Meghan Markle will never shake off is Duchess Difficult, a title that she's definitely earned. Your reaction to the suggestion that Meghan Markle is one of the most bullied people in the world. Do you have sympathy for the Duchess of Sussex? Let me know your thoughts. gbnews.com/your say. But first, tonight's top pundits. I'm delighted to have political commentator Fleur Elizabeth. We have Fleet Street legend, broadcaster and writer Nina Mishkov, and former national newspaper editor, no less, the one and only Neil Wallace. Neil, Duchess Difficult. Does Meghan Markle deserve that title?
Every syllable of it. She's an appalling woman. The idea that you could sit there and say publicly, I am the most bullied person in the world, or one of the most bullied people in the world.
To a bunch of 11-year-olds.
To a bunch of 11-year-olds, but she knew the cameras was there. I wonder what the victims of domestic violence felt about that when they were watching that. I wonder what the
bullying. I think domestic violence.
Nina, please don't bully Neil.
Yeah, yes.
Neil is the second most bullied person in the world, behind Meghan Markle.
Yes, this is.
Look at you. You brought a tear to his eye.
Yeah.
He's a fragile flower, even though he's worked for Rupert Murdoch.
Yes. I do wonder how. Actually, that's probably what she's counting on, really, that everybody else can be dismissed. She's a special case. The truth is, if someone says something appalling that really strikes at how you experience your life, such as a victim of domestic violence, to hear her sat there in her makeup and her £1,000 gowns and to say, I'm bullied, let me tell you, Nina, that strikes right to your core, and that goes across everywhere as well. No, that's convenient for you to say for, and I'm sure she would agree. Okay. I'm sure that Meghan Markle would agree with every word you say, and you know what? That's your problem.
Nina.
Not my problem. Not my problem at all. The point being that Meghan Markle was bullied out of this country by the royal family and the British media. What happened was, very simply, that when she arrived on the scene, she and Harry, who had always been the most popular royal next to the Queen, became doubly, magical somehow to the British public, and the wedding and all of that. Now, the problem with that scenario is that we have William and Kate, and William and Kate are the number one. They are the ones who will take the monarchy forward, the machinery forward.
Because they haven't done any podcasts, they haven't written books, they've not done documentaries, throwing their family and the country under the bus.
No, the point being that their popularity overtook that of William and Kate. Now, that cannot be allowed to happen because William is the one who will keep the machinery going. It has to be that line of succession.
And how do you explain for the turnover of staff, 18 employees working for the Duchess of Sussex since 2018?
Well, that's how many? That's 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're losing how many a year? You're losing 3 a year. That's not a great deal.
But these are key figures. I mean, this is not a multinational company.
Not necessarily.
This is this is a couple, a royal couple,
but the problem
with a few staff members.
But the point, you have to agree, they were pushed out. She and Harry were pushed out of this country.
Neil, the
problem we have with Nina's argument, she's forgetting where she used to work. One of the great fallacies that the palace would love you to believe, that Harry and Meghan would have you believe, is that somehow the establishment, the palace, dictated to the British media how you covered these people. This is nonsense, and you know it. The point of the matter is,
because I have been in Fleet Street, I know it.
Well,
I know it
yes,
very
but
well.
never at a senior level. And let me tell you, I have never been told of how I should react in dealing with the...
Dealing with finish your point. You've never been told
how I should react to the royals. I should follow what I believe is right for the reader. And you know what? The readers loved Harry.
Okay, now listen, Neil,
and pursued it.
Objection sustained. I'm going to overrule your suggestion that somehow Nina is a minnow in the world of journalism. Yes, you've been a national newspaper editor. But, of course, Nina, one of the best-known journalists in the country. So you're both big names from Fleet Street, but you don't agree. Fleur, where do you stand on this?
Now they've stopped bullying each other. I do think that you were right. Meghan has chosen this life of fame. And also, you said that the definition of victim has changed. The definition of bullying the same. There is criticism and there is bullying. And if you want no criticism, you've got to be a very good person, which I think, personally, I think the Princess of Wales has done a very good example of. But a person who mailed her wedding ring back to her first husband, abandoned her father who paid for her education and excluded
that father,
him from
for heaven's sake,
the wedding.
He's never met his grandchildren.
But he sold her out. He sold her out.
Well, she completely abandoned him after he gave her whole lifestyle and education.
But he sold his own daughter out for money from the British press.
Well, he made a big mistake, didn't he? But he made a big mistake by posing for a photo at an internet cafe because he was out of his depth. Final thoughts on this before we crack on?
Well, she's chosen to be a public figure. She's chosen to marry into the most famous family in the world, and if she can't accept the criticism that comes with that, then...
Beyond criticism.